Welcome back to Metropole TV, The Smart Investor. My name is Ali Khan Sachi, and we've got a fantastic guest in the studio, the CEO of EGM Securities, Kevin Ngangá, a friend and a colleague. Kevin, you can't make this world up, right? I mean, have we seen so many cross-cutting, geopolitical whipsawing around?
Yeah.
Before we get to that discussion, just tell us, you were the first
online forex broker.
Online forex
regulated by the Capital Markets Authority.
Regulated by the Capital Markets Authority.
Yeah.
People can find you in Riverside.
Riverside Drive, 22 Riverside Suites. More importantly, you can go to our website.
Yes.
That's www.egmsecurities.com. We've recently launched a new product under the EGM brand called FX Pesa. And that you can also visit fxpesa.com to get a lot more detail. It's a much lighter version of ability to trade and gives Kenyans an opportunity to execute trades while on the go. So you've got an app that you can trade on. You've got something called a web trader, which is very easy and simple to use for the less experienced trader.
So basically, you're giving people access to trade in any market globally? Or
correct.
So just give us a description. Oil. Could we buy oil?
Yes. So we have 4 asset classes on our product offering. So we've got currencies, so all the major international currencies that you can do. If you're adventurous enough, you can...
Turkish lira?
Turkish lira, my favorite currency. You can trade things like the Mexican peso. I was actually just looking the other day at the ruble. So you can trade the Russian ruble on our currency. So you've got 76 currency pairs.
So you got the currency menu.
Correct. Then we've got the second category, which is what we call an asset class, which is precious metals. So for those of you who are interested in gold, silver, platinum, palladium, we have that on board. Then we have something called commodities, which is your oil. You can trade oil. We've just added a very interesting commodity, which is dear to Kenyans, that is coffee.
Wow.
And we're actually looking to give coffee farmers an opportunity to trade coffee to protect their earnings. So
because that coffee price is at some multi-year low. I couldn't believe it.
Yeah, so it's something that we're actually talking to coffee exporters and saying, hey, instead of you trying to get structural hedges, you can trade this on our platform and get that. So that's something that we are really looking at for 2019. And then finally, we have global indices. So if you're interested in the US market and you believe that the US market is going up, you can trade the S&P 500, you can trade the Dow Jones, and we've got all global indices. So if you're interested, if you fancy the German DAX, that's something that you can trade on our platform. If you can fancy something unusual, such as the Japanese 225, you've got that. One of the interesting things that I've added as well is something called the dollar index.
Oh, the US dollar.
DX. Yes. So DXY is on my platform. Why am I interested in that? It's your perfect tool for what we're seeing today in the global play. Everything that you're seeing on a global play will be shown on that index. So I think that's an exciting opportunity for Kenyans as well.
So you've got you got the full menu.
I've got the full menu. Continental, a la carte, French, Italian, Chinese.
We don't have to go anywhere offshore.
You don't have to go in offshore.
We got to come and see Kevin Ngangá.
Correct. And you can trade immediately via M-Pesa. So you just register, get uploaded, and start trading directly from M-Pesa. For, of course, amounts above the M-Pesa limit, we allow you to transfer via bank transfer. So we've made the client journey as easy as possible to trade. And that makes you be able to diversify your portfolios from your traditional asset classes of equities, land, or cash, or fixed deposits. Yes.
Kevin, let's talk about the markets.
Yes.
Let's start off with the trade war.
Yes.
For a long time, I thought there was a misperception that somehow, to me, Trump seems to be in the driving seat. If I'm your biggest client and I'm buying $500 billion of goods from you, and you're selling me $100 billion, and I come to you and I say, I want a better price. You've got to give it to me.
It's demand and supply. I think the initial trade war, the market view was that this would not be a long-winded war. And the thing was, it took 10% of tariffs on about $200 billion worth of goods. What worries me is the protracted
how are they going? You know, I remember somebody saying that you've got to give your adversary a golden ladder to come down, otherwise you never
Correct.
compromise. Now you're talking about Trump, who thinks he's king of the world and you know the number one decider. You've got Xi Jinping, who probably thinks the same. He's the paramount president. I don't see where these guys are going to compromise. And now, you know, do you? I mean,
I think definitely, just alluding to what you said earlier, is one, US has a significant advantage. I mean, what they have on their weaponry, what they have at their disposal, there's no way China can match. But there's certain things that US hasn't noticed about China. I'll give you two.
Yeah.
One, China has $3.65 trillion that they haven't spent on their budget. Now,
these are the reserves.
These are the reserves from fiscal, not monetary, fiscal reserves. So you have a budget allocation to the companies because you know how China is structured, where the government owns most of the commercial companies. There's $3.65 trillion unallocated. So any attack on Chinese exports can be countered by an economic stimulus where the government will just activate expenditure. So that's one of the weapons in the
But
Chinese.
they also threw a lot of money at the problem in the last few months.
And that's what, and they've learned a bit that, because a couple of things. Number one, the easiest thing would have been to try and dump the US treasuries.
Yes.
But that will only create a spike in interest rates for a short term. But what's going to happen? US is going to come in, US Fed is going to come in, start buying treasuries so that they can bring the interest rate down. So that's not going to be effective. The one thing that I think they can do is devalue their yuan.
Now you're going to. We're looking at this chart now.
Correct,
the dollar
correct.
one.
Yeah.
Tell us what it's telling you. I mean.
So this is the Chinese yuan renminbi chart. What you can see is two rectangles. I see there's a yellow one and a red one. If I explain, so the yellow one is what you call the supply lines. That's where you're seeing most of where supply for the offshore supply for yuan.
So it got sold off, but people then defended that price.
Defended this price. So you can see the red triangle is typically where the demand comes in.
Yes.
Now, in the last 3 weeks, we've seen a 1.1% up on the fixing. So you can see
that they are moving
it slowly, just as a defensive mechanism. The Huawei sanctions kick in from tomorrow. I expect
that's a big deal.
That's touching.
Yeah.
I think that's quite, what can I say? I think it might be an overreaching.
Yes.
And Alikan, you need to know two things about this year in China. You've got 30-year anniversary of the Tiananmen Square.
So they're highly
You've got
sensitive.
70 years anniversary of Chairman Mao.
Wow.
So this year is a lot about patriotism, and patriotism cannot be as big as standing up to the US.
Yes.
So you may think that yes, US has all this a big long hand. I think the Chinese, purely from a patriotic perspective, and the government of China, they will want to see this out to show their people their resolve.
Because they keep saying, you know, they talk about the Opium War.
Correct.
So there's a whole history
Correct.
of they feel unfairly treated.
Correct. Yeah.
And when you listen, I saw a chart saying in a trade war now, it's as if they've unleashed everybody. The patriots are running about saying we're not going to take, so they can take pain.
So that's the thing, they can take pain.
Can the US take the same pain China can?
I think there's going to be concerns about inflation because at some point China is going to have to pass through these tariffs.
I saw this, Nikkei today said they are having to absorb 80% of the tariff and they can pass through 20.
Yes.
But not beyond that. And everyone was assuming they'll pass the whole lot
the whole lot.
They can't do that.
They can't do that. But the thing is, when it gets to 25%, if the tariffs raise from 10% to 25%, then 80% of that's kind of, so there's probably going to be a US effect. The biggest.
So you're seeing inflation going higher because the T-bond keeps rallying, right?
I could see that. I could see that as a big risk for the US, and now that brings into other conversations. When you start having inflation in the US, does the Fed have to turn around and start cutting rates? And what does that mean? You've got an election
Trump
next
keeps
year.
slamming them, right?
Correct.
I mean,
and you've got an election next year. So
So that's why he keeps massaging the stock market, right?
Correct.
He's worried.
Yeah.
That to me is his
Yeah.
Achilles heel.
Yeah, I think my hunch is as follows, Ali Khan. I think two things. One, this is phase one. Phase two is going to pick up a trade war with Europe and Japan.
Yes.
You've already seen he's given them 180 days to respond about the automobile quotas that they're going to reduce on exports. That's number one. And I think you're going to see a lot more Make America Great trade war initiatives in the run-up to the election, because
that plays
activates
well with his
the
base.
base.
Yes.
That activates the base, and he needs that.
Let's turn to Brent. You've
Yes.
got a chart now of Brent crude.
Yes, I saw your I saw your earlier comments.
We had this enormous run higher, right?
Correct.
In Brent.
Correct.
So tell us.
Same. So 3 rectangles on the.
There we go. Yes.
There. So the light blue one is especially where you saw the demand. There's a lot of demand levels
Down there.
Down there.
Yes.
So that's where you see the uplift. Now, of course, the next resistance is on the light green.
Yes.
And this is currently where we are.
We're there now.
We're there now. So a couple of things. Depending on how this Iran issue plays out.
But it looks serious.
It's looking, I mean, what Rubini is talking about is...
Oh, what did he say?
Well, he said we are at cusp of war.
Yes. And so the Iranian...
I think a couple of things. Iran brings in Russia.
Yes.
Russia hasn't said anything until now.
No.
And they're quiet.
Yes.
Which is unusual. So I think...
But Pompeo was there yesterday.
Yes. But I think now you need to start listening. I think the sound of the river is probably going to get a bit of a reaction the next 2 or 3 days from Russia. And when Putin says something, then, you know, he has to, I mean, Trump will have to just reevaluate his options. So I think a couple of things. From an economic point and as demand supply, a couple of things that have come out when you look at oil. Number one, U.S. production is up.
That's
They're
huge.
Actually,
that's the geopolitical game changer.
That's the
right?
thing.
I mean, people don't realize that. Before they were importing it. Today, they're net exporters.
So that's another play for MAGA. You know, you gotta ask yourself, because now the rigs start kicking in. Institute of Nuclear Agency said that the rig count is up 22%.
Because of the price rally.
Because of the price rally. Because now they can open and get in. So it's something that you need to look at. So probably U.S. supply may cover Iran shortfall, probably Venezuela shortfall. But I saw Saudis down half a million barrels per day.
It doesn't take much, does it? If you know, and then the Houthis hitting that east-west line. You get the Iranians trying to block the Straits of Hormuz.
But my take on the chart is I think there's going to be probably another pickup. So a little bit more pain.
You think a bit higher?
Yeah, I think a bit higher. Because that needs to sustain for the US exporters. A little bit more pain at the pump price. So for those of you who saw 116, I think there'll be a bit more pain. I probably think 120. Because remember, there's a 2-month lag. So
that's right.
So what we've seen the last month
is following. Yes, so we still got more to go.
There's still got room to move up.
Let's go to dollar rand. We had Ramaphosa.
Yes.
I like Ramaphosa. He says the best things. We're Julius there in the mix. I mean, you can't make that stuff up. It's almost as good as the UK Houses of Parliament.
Correct.
But not as good. That thing is too good.
So I think a couple of things. Inauguration is on May 25th.
Yes.
He's expected to announce his cabinet 2 days later. A lot of people are keen to see whether he's going to retain the untainted, or whether the tainted.
He's got to do something. If he doesn't, this is his opportunity.
This is his opportunity.
If you don't do it now, you're never going to do it.
You're never going to do it. Yeah. So looking at the chart.
Yes. So you're saying that's a bullish development you're seeing now.
The thing about this chart is very interesting. You see those two yellow parallel lines that I've drawn?
Yes.
That's what you call a bull channel.
Yes.
Now, the red graph that you see there, the red rectangle, is a demand.
That's where the demand is.
That's where the demand is. So you get into a point of what you call confluence, where at around 14, it could break down as low as 13.
Wow.
Or if this US-China play continues to exacerbate.
Because South Africa is quite interconnected. There's a feedback loop
with
China.
Feedback loop. Yeah. So you can't look at this in isolation from the political side in the US, in South Africa and the appointments, because what market is saying is that a leaner cabinet and untainted cabinet members, and people like Tito Mboweni, what is he going to retain his finance ministry?
I think he is.
I think so.
Yes.
I think that's a big shot for the economy. So I think I would watch this is what I would call a range trade
Yes, for now.
opportunity. Yeah, watch how this trade war pans out. Watch how the cabinet is appointed. So you've got probably another week or so, and then see whether there'll be a breakout. I expect to see some resistance on that.
Let's turn finally to the S&P 500.
Yes.
And, Trump has become a genius at massaging this market during trading hours.
It is.
And then when it's shut, he goes and slams
It
China.
slams
Have you
China.
noticed this?
Yes,
It's quite
classic.
sophisticated.
It's classic. It's classic.
I mean, he's obviously a street fighter. He's worked it out.
He's worked it out.
Yeah.
I think the US market has been a big run for all, and a lot of my retail traders.
Do they like to trade the US?
They love the
The
US.
FANGs or the S&P or what?
They trade a lot on the S&P, the DAX, and the Dow.
Yes.
Because it's been almost a one-way bet. Yes, there's points where there's a bit of pullback, but it's been a one-way bet. So that's been quite profitable for a lot of the retail traders. And for me, I think that similar bear channel, demand zone, I think S&P is going to bounce back up.
You think so?
Yeah, I think it's going to bounce back up.
So you don't see, if this trade war intensifies, you don't think this is going to soften up? You think there's...
You see, it's very important for him to...
He knows how to manage it.
Correct.
And we've
So
seen him in
yes,
action.
He'll probably tail back a little bit,
Yeah.
wind up, probably gonna focus on Europe, on the tariffs on Europe,
Yes.
and say maybe this is an easier battle to do this. But the question is he biting more than he can chew?
Yeah. What do you think?
Let's wait and see.
Kevin, what a brilliant expose. Really
a real
appreciate
pleasure to
it.
have you on.
You've got to
Real pleasure.
come back
Thank you for
because
coming.
we're
I'm
living
happy
in
to
our
come.
world at the
Yes,
moment, right?
yes, yes.
Every time I look at the news, I can't believe what's happening.
Correct.
We've forgotten even to mention Erdogan, but never mind. We'll do that next time. Next time.
I'm still I think it's probably going to go to 7, but we'll talk about why next time.
No, definitely.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, Kevin.
Thank you for your time.
Thank
I really
you.
appreciate it.
This was Metropole TV, The Smart Investor, where you get smart conversation like we had today with Kevin. My name is Ali Khan Satchu. It's been a pleasure being with you this evening and look forward to seeing you again tomorrow.